Welcome to another episode of Morgan's Point of View, where we talk movies, TV, sports, and all things pop culture. I'm Morgan. This episode, we're talking about the leaked Avengers trailer, the leaked Spider-Man trailer, the NBA Cup, the Spurs versus OKC, Dylan Brooks versus LeBron James, NFL Sunday, and breaking down the Cena retirement match and the whole aftermath. So first, I'm gonna get into what I've been watching recently. Mad Men #1. I had heard a lot about this show, one of the greatest shows of all time, like highly acclaimed. I had just never gotten into it because I think it came out in 2007. So, but it recently got put on HBO Max. Started watching it. I'm 5 episodes in. I'm enjoying it. Everyone in this show is irritating me though, and it's to the point where it's like I just have no favorites really. I guess Don Draper, who's like the main character, I guess he's a favorite of mine. I do want to see him win, but he's kind of like he just has a lot going on to the point where it's like, all right, like he's trying to decide between three women really, his wife, his mistress, and then this third girl, Rachel, who I think he has the most chemistry with, but it's like, I don't know, don't leave your wife, I guess. And then it's like in the first episode it's like a reveal that he has a wife, because you're thinking he's like a single man, and then he goes home and he has like two kids, but he, yeah, there's just a lot going on over there. Like it's set in the 60s advertising agency, which is a cool setting for a show, a cool premise for a show, I think. And I think it's going to be really entertaining. Yeah, so Percy Jackson also, the third episode just dropped today. I'm going to watch that later today. The first two episodes wowed me and shocked me at the level, like the quality jump. And this is exactly why you got to give shows a chance. Like the first season is all just about promise. As long as there's potential, as long as there's promise there, I'll stay tuned for the second season. And in the first season, they had good character work. The actors, you could tell it wasn't as, there was potential, but it wasn't fully realized because they're kids, right? So that part I knew was gonna develop. I knew their chemistry as just a cast, their chemistry as a crew was gonna develop into the second season. So I was already hyped and they delivered. Every single critique that was in the first season about the cinematography, about the look of it, about how short the episodes were, in the pacing of it, they fixed in these first two episodes of season two. They introduced Tyson, which is a character I really enjoyed. I watched I read the second book, Sea of Monsters, and so I kind of knew what to expect going into this. Tyson was a favorite of mine, and I think he's perfectly adapted. Like, I don't think you could get any better. It's a 1-to-1 to me. And yeah, that's really cool. Percy has grown up, he's developed. So has the actor. You can just tell he's like all the things that he was great at in season one, he's gotten better at. And his weaknesses, he's gotten better at that. He was obviously probably the best child actor in season one and again in season two, I believe, but the other kids have caught up. And so with him and Annabeth, you get really dynamic scenes, really cool scenes. And their chemistry just leaps. Like it leaps off the screen in a way that's different than season one because they've gotten older. So that's really exciting because at the core of the Sea of Monsters book, it really is Percy and Annabeth teaming up, growing closer, growing that chemistry. And so them having this good of chemistry 2 episodes into season two, which is all about them basically, is promising and exciting. What else about Percy Jackson? I think that's pretty much it. But I really am excited for the rest of the season. And I think it took a jump because the first season, it definitely was giving like Disney Channel quality at some points. It wasn't too much of a deterrent for me because I could see the other, like, I could see the potential in it. But here, it's just been fully realized into what a streaming show looks like in terms of budget. The CGI looks really good. All the mythical creatures and stuff and the monsters and stuff looks really well done. And what I also kind of can't believe is that Tyson, he's a Cyclops, right? So he has one eye. And so the Percy Jackson movie, they kind of hide it and stuff. And it's a hard look to pull off when it comes to CGI, when he's moving and stuff, to make it look real and make it look like it's supposed to be on his face. And so I thought they would kind of not chicken out, but kind of hide it at some points. And they haven't been doing that. It's just been him and his one eye glory. Like we haven't even seen him with two eyes. And so that's a really cool aspect. At the end of the second episode, we're set off on our quest to find Grover and the Golden Fleece. And so episode 3 should really pack a punch and be really good. Let's get into the Avengers Doomsday trailer leak. So what happened with this is Avengers Doomsday is coming out next year, right? And so they have like little teaser trailers that we're gonna play in front of Avatar Fire and Ash, which comes out like on Thursday. And so it was four trailers that they were gonna like alternate in different theaters. It was Steve, Thor, Victor Von Doom, and then a full trailer. And so the Steve trailer leaked online. I got a chance to watch it, and it was a lot of mixed feelings, but mixed not equally. I had way more negative feelings than good feelings because I feel like this just sets the MCU back in a way that we might not feel the ramifications of until like 5 to 10 years down the line. Now let me explain. So Steve Rogers, Captain America, he has a ending at the end of Endgame. Some people don't like it, some people like it. And what happens is he goes to the past, ends up with Peggy, and now in this trailer we see him on a motorcycle. He's contemplating, he's looking at the Captain America suit, he puts it back in the storage. We see him with a child. And so a lot of things go through my mind when I see this trailer. First of all, I also see a matching report that says Steve is a leading character in this. So that's already ridiculous. Number two, Falcon and the Winter Soldier debuted like 2021, 2022. So that's like 3 or 4 years of the Sam Captain America build up, and all that I've gone through in the past couple of years as a Marvel fan, and seeing you try to rebuild and reboot somewhat, or reshuffle the deck, your cast, for us to build to a new Avengers movie. You just wasted my time. That's for the first thing. I felt like he wasted my time. I also felt like this was like it was a feeling of, oh, you're just gonna go back to the white characters, right? Because it felt like in 2020 and all that they were big on this diversity kick, and it ended up not going well through no fault of the fact that they were diverse. The problem was they didn't know how to handle these characters. They didn't know how to write these movies. They were worried about getting the product out instead of caring and cultivating and making sure this would be a hit. And to me, this all started with Captain Marvel failing to connect with the audiences. That was the first domino to fall for me. And I think if that would have went differently and people ended up gravitating to her character, we might have a different discussion now. But going back to Steve, I just feel like this is just ridiculous. Like, and it feels like nostalgia grabby, all those hot terms right now. And also to me, I just don't like, I like Steve, and that's where my mixed feelings comes from. I liked Steve. Seeing Steve again would be cool, but I just don't like my time being wasted like this. And so to me, this has a number of things that I think will hurt the MCU going forward. First of all, that child reveal makes me feel like that kid's gonna play a big part, because you wouldn't have Steve have a child if it's not gonna play a big part. And I feel like he might become a big character down the line. Okay, well then the audience is gonna be like, so is he Captain America like Junior? Like, what's happening there? And that puts Sam further down the pecking order, in my opinion, because people already feel like since he's black, he shouldn't be Captain America. And like, that's why I think like Marvel, you could have just, there's so many beautiful characters in the Marvel universe, so many great characters with deep stories and deep backstories, that you could have focused on, and that could have secured your universe for the next 10 plus years. Instead, we're wasting time focusing on characters of the past, and that already cheapens Endgame, by the way, which a movie I don't even think is that good, which is a hot take. I don't even think it's that good. So you just cheapen that movie by having these characters appear again and that not be the true ending. I think it's been done better in comic books than it's been done here, the bringing back of characters. And I think what the benefit of comic book movies, I guess, in theory, would be that they don't have to be ongoing because these actors are not ageless. They age with the character. So you could have a closed like arc and that just be it. And then you like move on to another character. But they just didn't want to do that. And it feels like you're afraid of your own product. In a way, it feels like you're not secure in your ability to make hit movies. And that's weird because y'all had a whole streak of hits using Avengers characters were not that popular before the MCU. The X-Men are the A-listers, the Fantastic Four are the A-listers. You still have a young Spider-Man. So I just don't understand the hesitancy to build around them. Now, I think this cheapens this because like we could have had If the movie Avengers was kind of built on your characters that you grew over the past couple of phases, then you could have had, I don't know, you could have built them up to the point where people care about them more, because you didn't do that when you were supposed to. So now we kind of have to backtrack and do it now, but you could have. And then we could have led to X-Men, which is what everybody's actually waiting for and everybody actually wants, right? And so this is just weird to me, but it's gonna put butts in seats. Everybody's gonna go to this movie to see Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, Victor Von Doom. He's gonna be Tony Stark in some shape, way, or form, whatever, right? And so that was ridiculous. Steve being a main character is ridiculous because we just had the Fantastic Four introduced. The hesitancy to put Reed Richards and the family at the forefront. It's just so weird to me. Like, the main villain is Victor Von Doom, who is their villain. Like, that's their, like, it's, the whole thing is weird to me. I don't know if this will be successful. Like, this was a good movie, but I know it will be successful when it comes to money. And so I think that's what Marvel cares about more. But I really hope after these two back to back Avengers movies, Doomsday and Secret Wars, is over, that I get to see what I came here to see, which is the X-Men done right. Will they do it right? I don't know. But that's what I hope. And that was crazy. So then that happened on Tuesday. So then on Wednesday, the Spider-Man trailer leaked, right? And so Spider-Man Brand New Day is something I've been excited for. Spider-Man movies never disappoint me. There's just a tried and true formula. And this seems like it's going back to what people really want from Spider-Man, which is a solo ground level story. And I think this has all the makings. The trailer seemed really good. Sadie Sink, you can hear her voice as like the villain, kind of speaking to Peter Parker, like, stay out of my way, classic villain talk, cool. Um, and then, yeah, there's just a whole bunch of really exciting things with that. I think the Spider-Man, I'm more excited for Spider-Man than I am Doomsday. And we saw a lot of cool things. You saw him talking to Bruce Banner, which I don't really rate Bruce Banner too much, but that's cool. Saw him talking with Punisher, which is actually exciting. And from that conversation, it seemed like they were cordial and they knew each other. So I'm interested to see if that's a scene that's later in the movie and they have some scenes before, or they already know each other, which is super exciting. That type stuff, that street level type stuff, is actually the most important part to me. I liked a lot of what I saw from the Spider-Man trailer, and I think it should be a really good, and that was the probably the most exciting thing. But I do think these leaked trailers are somewhat coordinated or something like that. It's just my conspiracy theory brain, because, like, I don't know, it just brought back a lot of hype to the MCU that people kind of didn't have before. And so I'm interested to see what's going to happen with this. Love Spider-Man as a character. It seemed like a lot of influence from the JMS Spider-Man run, talking about Spider Cycle, and in that he kind of learns that his powers are like supernatural, like, and like it's like a totem thing. Ezekiel helps him with that, and so I think that is some type of correlation here. But yeah, I trust so much. Daniel Cretton is directing this, and I think he's phenomenal as well. And so this is a project I have the most faith in for the MCU. And so let's go on to sports. MCU, very mixed feelings. We'll see how 2026 goes for them. The New York Knicks won the NBA Cup. They elected not to put up the banner, which I think is a little bit ridiculous. Like, I get the concept of the NBA Cup isn't, like, it's not important, right? But it's only been around for a couple of years, so let's try to help make it important so it feels like we're actually playing for something. And I don't know if we'll ever get to that point as NBA fans to where we like care about it like it's actually serious. But I think we should, and I think putting it up in your arena will kind of help do that and kind of help build on it year after year after year. Especially somebody like the New York Knicks, and I get it could be like used against you as a pun. Like, if you don't make it to the finals, if you don't win a ring, like, people are gonna be like, oh, but you got that NBA Cup banner up, right? But I think it's still a cool thing, and I think, like, it's like the other two teams did it. Why don't you just do it? It'll be okay. Jalen Brunson was the MVP, 25, 4, and 8 assists. Amazing. Jalen Brunson is somebody who is like, he just rises to the occasion, and it's super interesting to see him play because he's like the smallest guy on the court at all times, but that footwork is impeccable. And you're not gonna stop him with 5 minutes left on the clock. Like, and that type of thing is like so endearing to me because I'm a playoff watcher. I want to see somebody rise to the occasion in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes left and stuff like that in championship type situations. And so this one wasn't really anything like that. It was 124 to 113, so it wasn't really a close game. But it's cool to see. the New York Knicks get something. Hopefully they build on this because this is their opportunity to get to the finals. And if they don't make it this year, I'm afraid they won't ever make it in the next like 5 years. So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, the East winning something. Like, let's go. The Spurs versus OKC was probably the better game. This was the semifinals, and it was very entertaining because Chet and Wemby like have beef, and I don't know where this kind of came from. I think they're just in a similar age group, both 7 footers, and like Wemby's obviously the better talent, but Chet Holmgren has a ring. And so that dynamic is super interesting to watch. They're playing on Christmas Day. That is circled in my calendar. I think they play at like 2:30. Like I'm gonna be there because anytime these teams play, it's very interesting. Spurs gave OKC their second loss of the season, and so they're definitely serious. OKC is more serious because they've been dominant on a scale that we haven't seen. They're like 24-2, so that's crazy. And Wemby's just I love watching him play, but the health thing is a concern for me, so I'm just gonna like enjoy every time I see him out there because you just never know. And so I think the Spurs as a team, they're just really dynamic. They're really great at drafting. Like they'll get a Dylan Harper with the second pick, right? And then they pair that with Castle and Vassell and Fox. And I wasn't sure how that would work, but everybody seemed to have settled into their roles perfectly, and everything seems great and dandy over there. So, hey, it's working out. It's working out great. De'Aaron Fox has lived up to his billing, has been able to score. There was one play in that game where Wemby got the rebound and like he passed it to Fox, who's like cutting, like it was like at the half court and he was like cutting. He caught the ball, he drove, and then he passed it to Castle. It might have been Castle or Vassell who dunked it. And I was like, yes, that is y'all's brand of basketball. Like getting up the floor quickly. You have speedsters and Fox and Castle and Vassell and people who are just willing to play all out. And that goes to their coach who you see him mic'd up in the huddles and the way he's coaching the team, he's coaching the guys is very cool to see, especially in like I always think about being in that position. Like Popovich just stepped down, right? He is one of the greatest coaches of all time. And it's undebatable, right? And so now you're stepping up into that role and you have a talented team and you just got the second pick, Dylan Harper. And he's been showing out as the coach, and I feel like he has to be a coach of the year favorite, maybe behind OKC's coach, but very, very fun basketball team. OKC is depth. OKC's depth, the amount of guys they just throw out there who you just haven't heard of, who comes in and puts up points and keeps the offense running when the starters are out is incredible. And that is exactly why they'll win the ring again. I believe so. And they'll be the first back-to-back team since the Warriors. So, yeah, that's crazy to me. OKC's amazing. And then being this good this early is shocking. And the Clippers are bad. So, they'll probably get a top 5 pick this year. If they get a top 5 pick and they get this draft class is incredible, so they'll get somebody who can really put up points and who can really do their thing. Dylan Brooks versus LeBron James. This happened a minute ago though. Suns versus Lakers. The Lakers ended up winning 116 to 114. LeBron and Dylan Brooks' beef or whatever they have going on is interesting to me because LeBron doesn't let too many people get under his skin. And so for him to let Dylan Brooks get under his skin like that is crazy to me. I wonder what Dylan Brooks said. But they've always had beef back and forth for a long time since Brooks has been in a Grizzlies uniform. So yeah, the whole thing is crazy. Dylan Brooks ended up getting ejected from the game, and it's like I don't know. I'm interested to see a playoff series between these two teams. Like I just like the competitiveness. I like the chippiness. It's entertaining to me, and it's enjoyable to watch. NFL Sunday, Bills versus Patriots. I watched this game. This was really fun. The Bills coming here and winning this 25-21. It just shows like Josh Allen has kind of grown up a little bit because I feel like it I don't know. Josh Allen is such an interesting character because he can do this and then at the same time when it's like Chiefs time and it's time to win, they're playing the Chiefs, he just can't like deliver and they lose. So it's crazy, but I love a good football game where it's like they're going back to back touchdown for touchdown and stuff like that. So that's really cool. And so yeah, I have high hopes for the Bills this year. The Patriots too. Their turnaround has been amazing to watch. Drake May is somebody who I've always believed in. With quarterbacks, the timeline is just so weird because it's like Jaden Daniels is down this year. Caleb Williams and Drake May have kind of arrived, and so it's going to be interesting to see how that draft class develops. But the Patriots have been good, and I'm excited to see them in the playoffs. But the Bills, like, now's the time. Chiefs aren't in it. It's time now for you to be serious, because sometimes in the playoffs it feels like they're not serious at points, even though I know they really want to be. The Chiefs lost in crazy fashion. Patrick Mahomes got hurt. The Chargers ended up winning it. I think it was like 16-13, something like that. And so they lost their season because was it Gardner Minshew, I think, and he threw a pick. He was trying to get the ball to Travis Kelce. Season over. For the Chiefs, this was a crazy fall off that I just didn't expect this quickly. I thought they maybe be like closer to the playoffs than they were here. And there's a lot of aspects for that, but I feel like what was really interesting to me is it felt like it kind of just snowballed to where they were like, we just lost the game, it'll be okay. We just lost another game, it'll be okay. And then it got to the point where it's like, you have to like kind of win out to get into the playoffs, and they couldn't do it. And I think Travis Kelce has definitely lost a step, but that comes with age. He's an older guy now, and so they need new tools, they need new weapons, and they need somebody for Patrick Mahomes to throw to. But also, Patrick Mahomes this season just felt like a kind of an off year where nothing was really clicking and nothing was really going well. And so we'll see what next season brings. Micah Parsons tore his ACL, which is really unfortunate because he's been having a great season. I was interested to see this Packers team in the playoffs fully formed, because I think Jordan Love is like, sometimes he'll be hitting on all cylinders and you can't stop him, and then other times it's like a mess. And so it was interesting. It would have been interesting to see how that would have shaken out in the playoffs, right? They're still probably going to be in the playoffs, but it's just, I can't rate anything for or against them because Micah Parsons is hurt, and so he was a key part of their defense and what makes them go. The Bengals, they disappoint me every season. And like, I think it's actually something it's the franchise, it's the culture, it's just something there that's rotten and not good. Also, Joe Burrow, he's one of my favorite quarterbacks, but he's just always injured. And there's nothing I can do. Like, he's just always injured, which is very sad to me because I love watching him play, and I think he can go toe to toe with any team, with any other quarterback, but he just hasn't had the chance to. And so you have Jamar Chase sitting there, who's one of the greatest receivers out right now. You have T. Higgins, and like, so I don't know what they're gonna do, but they definitely need to shake something up, and they definitely need to look inward at that organization because something is wrong and something is missing. So let's go on to Cena's retirement, because this was probably the most interesting thing, right? Now, if you haven't been keeping up with WWE, you're not a WWE fan, you're not a wrestling fan, John Cena had a retirement tour. I'm sure everybody knows who John Cena is. And it was a disaster. It was probably one of the worst retirement tours I've seen in a little bit. And a retirement tour is kind of unprecedented in wrestling, I guess. But the way they did it was just bad on so many levels. Like, he wasn't facing people you wanted him to face, his well-known foes and people you thought he would lock up with. He wasn't. He was facing Logan Paul like 5 times, which is a disaster. Just bad storylines. A forced heel turn where you turn into a villain was disastrous. And so many components and reasons to why that fell apart, but it fell apart majorly. And so you kind of wasted people's time with that. And then like, it just feels like they're running out of time, and they just wasted a whole bunch of time. They wasted everybody's time, it feels like. But WWE as a whole in 2025 has been terrible. So it hasn't been good. There's been very, very, very few bright spots. And so this tour being also bad kind of like makes sense when you think about the trajectory of the company at this point. It wasn't good at all. Yeah, that was the background of it. Triple H is the head of creative, right? And so he's been outwardly facing. He's been this centerpiece of WWE. He's, instead of like behind the scenes creative, he's definitely put his face out there a whole bunch and pushed onto us that he is the reason for WWE's recent boom in like 2023, 2024, right? That boom is definitely over now because this year was so bad. And so when bad decisions happen, when stuff happens that people don't like, who are people going to turn to immediately? Triple H. And so he got booed. He got booed terribly because in John Cena's retirement match, he was facing Gunther. This was a match that I was really excited for, and I think was a great retirement match send off. In wrestling, when you wrestle a retirement match, usually you're losing on your way out, right? And so John Cena lost. He lost by tapping out. John Cena's whole thing is never give up. I thought it was a really cool thing to do because at this point, I've been never giving up in for 25 plus years. I'm tired. So I got to tap out, but I'm content with my career and the body of work that I put forward, right? I was like, oh, okay, that's a cool ending. People were rioting. Like, people were upset. Triple H came out, the whole locker room came out to, like, dap John Cena up and be like, great, great run, right? They booed him like crazy. And, at the press conference after the fact, people were chanting AEW, AEW's competitor at Triple H. And that type of stuff, it is true that you get that because you wanted the approval so bad when things were going well. You wanted the credit so bad when things were going well. So when things aren't going well, guess who people are going to go to first? You, right? And so I think he kind of put that on to himself. I'm talking about docu-series on how the creative is done with WWE Unreal and all that type of stuff. And so again, it is like, hey, I kind of put this on myself. You just gotta hey, you just gotta let people boo. But a lot of people were saying that it was kind of a culmination of how bad WWE was in 2025 in the retirement tour itself, that they let it all out at the retirement match. But I don't know. My read on it was a little bit different. I just kind of thought people just didn't want him to tap out. And I think what it's actually done, the subsequent Monday Night Raw came out on Monday, obviously. And Gunther, this did a lot for him. This elevated him in a major, major way. Even though he's been one of WWE's top stars for a couple of years now, the heat of making John Cena tap out and being arrogant and doing the "you can't see me" in wrestler's face is a compelling story beat. And him doing that to AJ Styles, maybe setting up AJ's retirement to Gunther, is exciting to me and makes sense. And I think Gunther's done a lot with the material. Like, so this all seems good. This all has turned out okay to me, but I think the fact that the retirement year was so, so terrible. Like, I actually need to do an in-depth, like, month by month of this retirement tour because it actually was really, really bad. But yeah, I think it kind of ended okay. Like, it ended good. Like, Gunther tapping out John Cena made sense and it was well done to me. But I'm not gonna defend like Triple H, like because you kind of made this bed, and so people booing you is a logical reaction, a logical conclusion for them to come to because you like spent a lot of time hyping it up and hyping yourself up as like the savior of this company, of as a person who has kind of steered this new era and brought it to where it is now. So you got to take the good with the bad. The rest of Saturday Night's main event, which is where this show was held, or which was where this match was on, the pay-per-view this match was on. Cody versus Obafemi was super exciting. Obafemi is an NXT guy, like the developmental system. So for him to come up and go toe-to-toe with Cody, and for him to have cheers, and for him to have the presence that he has, is super exciting to me. Like, he is the future of this company. And it's kind of crazy because NXT, I watched NXT a little bit for a short period of time, and like, you see potential in people, but this is kind of one of the first times I've just seen somebody like from the onset have the complete package. Like, it was crazy. Like, his first night on TV, they had him cut a promo backstage in like a backstage interview segment, and he was perfect. Like, the promo was perfect, his presence was perfect, he knew who he was, he knew what he wanted to portray, he knew all these things, and him in the ring again is exceptional. He's an exceptional talent. Like, and so people are always going to get behind him really quickly, but the crowd like surprised me. Like, they were just 100% behind him, and he hadn't even been on a lot of main roster shows like some other NXT talent, and people were chanting his name, doing his name's Oba. Like, he was showing up and showing out, and it's really exciting to me. And then you see him in interviews and stuff, and he speaks so confidently, and I'm like, yes, like, don't let people tell you like you don't have, like, you have everything, you're the complete package. And I like when people act like that, and they know that, and they be like, yes, I am, and I'm gonna make a lot of money in this business because, like, obviously you are. And then Sol Ruka and Bailey, this was the only women's match on the show, but there was only 4 matches. But Sol Ruka is just so talented as well. Another black person on the show. She was doing crazy flips. She's in the developmental system. All types of cool stuff. And I love her moveset. And I love everything she does. And I think she's another person who kind of just knows who she is. Maybe the promos aren't as far along as some other NXT talent. But I think some people just got a presence about them. You're like, I buy in and I believe you. And she's one of those people, and she does cool stuff. And her finisher, the Soul Snatcher, is super cool. But you gotta set it up in the right ways, and Bailey was able to do that. Bailey is one of the most giving people, I feel like, and she always like looks out for young girls like coming up. And she did really well in this match here, and this was a really great match for me. I really enjoyed it. And then Javon Evans, Leon Slater versus AJ Styles, Dragon Lee was a tag match, and I was shocked about how short this match was, and I don't understand why they didn't get more time because they had skits and stuff after this, so it's like just cut the skit and give them more time. But incredible. Javon Evans is gonna be a star, and I kind of don't even want to say gonna be because he already is. He's like on all 3 shows for the most part, and he always has something to do on all 3 shows, and he's always doing great work. And we just never seen anybody like him. Like, the way he jumps is crazy, and this level of athleticism, the way he talks on the mic, he talks like a normal person. Like, I believe that's how he is in real life, the way he talks, and I hope they never ever change it. Just let him talk how he talks. He's great at that. He has a great presence. Feels like a guy that that's just like an everyday guy, but he's super athletic, and so that's an appealing character who can gravitate towards people, and I expect to see him on the main roster in a matter of months. It depends. If he gets the NXT title, then obviously not. But to me, he should already be called up. I don't know what they're waiting on. But yeah, Leon Slater, another 21-year-old. Both these people are 21. Javon Evans, Leon Slater, and just do phenomenal things. He's the TNA knockout champion, I think, and so it'll be cool to see. He's definitely going to WWE soon. I'd bet everything on that. But again, he's another cool guy. The Swanton 450 splash is a crazy finishing move, and he's just so dynamic with everything. I was just so surprised at how calm and collected all these NXT kids were, because if it was me, I'd be nervous. I'd be wrestling just to not make a mistake, and I feel like they were wrestling like free, like if a mistake happens. And multiple mistakes did, like botches or stuff like that, but the way they were able to cover, and it kind of wasn't on their side, it was like on their opponent's side, but the way they were able to cover and make it look like, oh, that was supposed to happen, was very, very impressive, and it shows they have the awareness and like the ring IQ to be able to hang with anybody, and so that's great. I mean, all these people are like in their 20s, and they're showing up and showing out, and that's what I wanted to see. I'm interested in the next generation of like talent, because I feel like everybody in WWE's like upper echelon main event is like in their 40s, and I'm ready for some new people to come in and shake up the show, because the formula is getting stale, and that was one of WWE's biggest problems in 2025. The formula was stale, and so bringing these new characters and seeing how they interact with the already established characters is going to give you dividends. It's going to do well for you, and so I think WWE should really do that. I think they should call all these people up, honestly. But this Saturday Night's main event was a really good event, and it was one of their best events of the year, honestly. But yeah, the reaction to him was just crazy. Gunther had to get security on his way out, like so funny. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching or listening. I'll be back next week with another episode. Come back here for all the latest news on sports, entertainment, and pop culture as a whole. Follow me on TikTok at Morgan's Point of View _, and on YouTube at Morgan's Point of View. Have a good rest of your day.